Hello everyone, my name is Josh, and welcome to Josh's Philosophy, where we go over people's thoughts, opinions, and how people think. I think this is a great topic today that we're going over to help kind of let people express themselves over this very topic and let people think and talk and let people express how they feel. I think this is a great topic to go over, but there's no real great way to start it. And I'm just going to kind of put out there as something that needs to be kind of talked about. And today's topic is death. A very sad, but very good topic to talk about. This topic is very sad, but needs to be talked about. And that's just my opinion. I think it needs to be talked about more because it's not something that is very easy to talk about, but it needs to be, like most things in this world. Death is a very weird thing within this world. Humans especially. Now you can go into how Rufus, your dog, died when you were 12, and I get that. That's still a sad experience to go through, but whenever it's another human, it's weird. Humans are here for a very finite amount of time. We're born, we live, and we die. Just try to sit and think about how that feels. We're born, we live, we die. It's strange to think about this, but it is something that is very, very real within this world that we go through every single day. We as people experience death in different ways. Some people don't know how to process it. And we just think it's odd. We just get a weird feeling and we just don't know how to process it. But then again, there are those that think that it's just oh God. People experience death and face it in different ways. People try to express themselves when death occurs in a multitude of ways that are strange. People, which I don't believe should be a good thing, people are sometimes happy that people died. People are also sad that people died, which is the majority of people. People also don't know how to express themselves when people die. People think, ooh, like, it's more of grief in a sense and a sense of mourning, but people like me don't know how to express it unless it directly is tied to them in any way, shape, or form. Now I can go into my friend and how during my freshman year of high school he shot himself. I didn't know how to feel that day, nor still today do I know how. He was a great guy, and that's all I could really say about him. He was a player of our football team. His dad was the head coach. And it's weird how the small things get to you about how you feel about them. And I'm not saying that I hated him in any way, because I love that man. But the small things, the smallest little things will remind you of him. Like today, I was in the car with my family, going down the road, and a song came on the radio. Reminded me of him. And it was weird because I just started thinking about how different things would be if he was still here. If he didn't do that. Would his family still be around? Would they have eventually moved away? Would things be normal as they were? Would have my day gone different? But we don't know, because that's not the reality. That's not the truth of what actually happened. And experiencing how it felt that day was just weird. The day previous to that day, I went to school, felt fine, had a great day, talked with him, laughed with him, made fun of him, he made fun of me. We just went back and forth on having a great day. I go home, I eat dinner, I take a shower, I go to bed, and I wake up to my mom in my room asking me if I knew who he was. And I said, yeah, he's in my grade, he's one of my friends. And she told me that the school sent her an email saying that he died that night. And I was like, I just woke up, so I didn't know if I just heard it wrong, or if she was messing with me, or what. But it just felt weird. But I asked her to repeat herself. I was like, what? Did you say he died? You sure he's not like in the hospital? Or she's like, no, he's dead. And I just sat there and was just like, a million things just came to my mind. Like, is his family okay? How are they doing? Do other people know? Like, who all knows? And I just immediately woke up, and I was obviously awake at that point, but I immediately just got on my phone and just started texting people. I was like, did you hear? Do you know if he really is alive, or if he's dead? If it was just like or if it was like a fake email, or if it was just something that it couldn't have been true. But nonetheless, I get up, get dressed, go to school, and everyone is silent. The entire bus ride, from the moment I got to school, or from the moment I got to the end of my driveway and got on that bus, it was silent. Nobody said a word. Everyone was crying. Everyone didn't know what was happening. Everyone just felt scared. And the school brought in counselors and people from other districts and schools to help us during this time, and obviously his mom and dad didn't show up to work that day. I don't think his siblings did either. I don't know. I wasn't in the middle school. Of course, I was in high school at the time, and it was two different campuses on two different sides of the town, and everyone was just sad, and it didn't just feel real. And it was at the time of the year, at the very end of the year, where we do our big state tests, which I live in Texas, so it's called the STAR test. We obviously didn't do it that day, because I was like, wait a minute, we have STAR test today. How are we supposed to do that if our friend just died? And they got on the announcements and said, hey, STAR test is canceled for today and possibly for the rest of the week, so try not to worry about that today. And let's go down to school, because, I mean, how else are we supposed to do it if our friend just died, you know? And I'm sorry for laughing, but I just thought it was a little funny to say, like, oh, well, no, I get your friend just died, but now you gotta do a STAR test. And I was like, what? That's kind of fucked up of you, but no, they obviously were like, okay, these kids can't do it today. Like, that, we just can't. And just going to class, seeing the teachers, seeing the students, seeing the janitors, the faculty, the administration just crying. It was just weird. We didn't do anything all day. We just sat there, cried together. We all just sat there in silence the entire day. Some people tried to lighten the mood, and some people tried to help. Like me, I tried to help other people as best as I could, but there was just no helping the situation. Like, when I got to the classes that I had with him, I just could not keep my eyes away from his desk and seeing it empty, and seeing everyone else do the same, and just remembering the day previous when we were all just sitting around together laughing and joking and having a great time. But now that was gone. It was just a terrible time. And then when his funeral happened a week or so later, I went to that, and it seemed like every single person from that town showed up. There was about 5,000 people crammed into a tiny building. There was people outside. Sorry, everyone, I'm getting over a sinus infection, but God, sorry, that's why I was like, didn't kind of seem like I was laughing, but I wasn't, but it was just me being sick and trying not to cough. God. But there were people packed outside in the parking lot trying to listen into it. It seemed like everyone from that town and pretty much surrounding area was there. It was so sad. And I hated being in that situation. And after the funeral, I went up to his parents and I shook their hands and I said, I'm sorry. I love that man. I love that he came to school with a smile on his face every day. Even when I was having a bad day, he made me smile at least once. And that was something that I thanked them for. And his mom just said, I think she was still delirious about it happening because she just started, joking around with me. Because my 8th grade year, we had a teacher versus student basketball game, and I was in it, and I guarded her husband, which was my friend's dad. Man, he was a buff guy, but very short. So I'm just sitting there trying to guard a short, buff guy. And she's like, I remember whenever you guarded my husband, and I just thought that was so much fun. You did so well, and trying to go up against a grown man, and I was like, well, thank you, she was definitely trying to lighten the mood. She was just trying not to think about it, and I get it. It's her baby. That's one thing I understand about moms and women is you don't mess with their babies. You don't ever make a woman think about losing their baby, because I know how that feels, losing somebody like that. I mean, I don't have a kid. I haven't lost a parent or anything like that, but I know how it feels to lose someone that close. Obviously not as close as it being your own son or daughter, but I can relate to it to an extent, and I believe we all can. We can all think about the bad things in this world. We can also think about the good things. Most of us have food, water, and a decent home. Most of us have most of the necessities that we need. And yeah, there are people that are less fortunate than others where they don't have everything they need. People go without food, people go without water and other things like that, but just to think about the things that we have in that moment and the memories of the good times was all that mother needed. And I feel so bad for that woman and her husband and their other kids, because just listening to them talk, I could tell. I don't think I saw my friend's dad cry then. I don't think I saw my friend's dad cry in that moment. At least I don't remember it, because he went up there and he talked about his son, and I could tell he was trying not to so hard. He was trying so hard not to cry, and I could feel that coming from him, that he was trying so hard not to cry about losing a son. But we wouldn't have judged him in any way. We wouldn't have thought any less of that man, because he was a great guy. Such a great guy. We wouldn't have thought anything different. In fact, we would have understood and been more appreciative if he did. But maybe that's just the way he was. Maybe he was just a quiet guy that just did not feel like he needed to cry in that moment. Maybe that's just the way he felt, and I don't know. But one thing I do know about death is it brings us closer as people, but it also tears us apart. Another example that I have of death is when my grandfather died. He was a very wise person. He was very wise in the extent of he would teach you lessons by talking to you. He wouldn't yell, he wouldn't scream, he wouldn't get mad at you. He would give you advice from him going through pretty much everything in this world, where he would teach you in a very weird way that I've never really seen anybody teach, but it was a very open way of teaching, where he would tell you indirectly what you needed to do to fix the situation. And that's kind of the way that I've taught myself how to be, is he gave you the tools to fix yourself. He didn't do it for you. He gave you the tools and the supplies. All you had to do was build it. He was a teacher. He taught so much for my father. He taught my dad so much on how to be a better person. And is my dad a better person today? Yes. Then he moved on to me. Most of the time when my dad wasn't home and was at work, I spent time with him, especially during the COVID time. He taught me basic things about life, especially within the US, just teaching me that, hey, he taught me things that I didn't even really need to know that I knew already. But having that security of already knowing it and being able to talk with him and being able to articulate how I felt about things, or how I needed to go about things, and how to talk to women, how to express myself to people, how to be a better person as is, was so much that I feel happy. I felt happy in that time. I felt so much happier during that time with him because he was a person that I could go to about literally anything. If I killed somebody, that man would have been there to help me get through that situation. And right after Thanksgiving one year, he went in the hospital and he died there in that hospital on December 12th. He died. And it was strange because the day before I go in, he's hooked up to all these machines, so heavily drugged and sedated that he could barely even speak. We could barely make up what he was trying to tell. He was like, I'm coming home soon. I'm coming home soon. Just because they have me hooked to all this, I'm coming home soon. I believed him because I think he believed it too. But he also knew that he was just trying to help us within that situation. He was trying to help us and reassure us that he was going to be okay. Because he knew he was dying. He knew he was. He knew for years that he was dying. He knew that his lungs were giving out on him. He knew that the diseases that he had was slowly catching up to him. And after they finally put him on all the oxygen machines and all of that, his lungs just said, all right, it's time. His body just said, no, we can't keep going. And it's a weird situation to be in where you don't understand. And the next day I go to school and I just feel terrible. I feel awful about, I don't know. I didn't know. I felt weird. And that's a weird thing that humans have, where you subconsciously know something is wrong. You just don't know what. There will be times where now I'll get that feeling and I will immediately text my parents. What's wrong? I know something's wrong. I have that feeling that something is terribly wrong. If there is anything going on, please tell me because I want to know. 90% of the time, it's a no. There's nothing going on. But there are those other times where like, oh, your dad just got sick, or oh, your sister's a little sick, or hey, this is, the car broke down or something. But those 90% of the time, it's just no, there's nothing going on. And I'm like, okay, I have that feeling. But I went to school that day, and in my very first period class, I'm just sitting there, and I'm just dreading something. And they call out on the speaker, Josh to the office to leave. And my teacher was joking, like, what you leaving for this early? You just got to school. And I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, well, whatever it is, it has to be important. And I'm like, obviously. And I get out of the classroom, and I'm just thinking, is something wrong with Mark? Which is, I don't know if I stated that already, but Mark was my grandpa's name. I'm like, is there something wrong with Mark? Is he okay? Or is it something else? Am I in trouble? Like, is it such a big deal that I need to get pulled out of school for? Or is there something else going on? I don't know. Or my parents just like, screw it, let's just not have him go to school today. What's going on? And I am trying to figure it out. I just start running. I started running to that office. Which, granted, it wasn't far, but it was a long hallway, and I just started running. And I get in there, and I'm like, what's wrong? And my dad turns to me and just says, Mark died. And I don't say anything. I just walk out into this little foyer that they had. And I I just threw myself on the chair and I just cried for about 5 minutes. And I just sat there and cried until I finally got enough energy to get up, go outside and get in the car and just cried. My little sister was in there and she was just crying, and I just held her, cried with her. And we went home. I just said, let's just not do anything today. Let's just all just do our own thing, talk to each other if we need. And I just went in my room and just slept. There was nothing that I could do. I just didn't feel like crying. I didn't feel like talking. I didn't feel like anything. I just slept. I woke up. I just thought, is this a dream? Is this fake? Is this real? What's going on? And I went in there and I'm like, what are we gonna do? And my parents were like, well, there's nothing we can do anymore. I mean, there's nothing that we can do. And that's when I finally realized death is harsh and terrible to experience. When I went to his funeral, it was the saddest thing I have pretty much ever went through. And that next day, I go into his bedroom and it's just the exact same way it was whenever he left. And I just start looking at his walls, looking at his bed, and I just go and lay on his bed and just cried. Because I just felt terrible. I picked up his watch that was in its box that he got from his work whenever he surpassed 20 years at that company. I picked up his watch and I just took it to my room, and it's been in my room ever since. It sits right on my nightstand like it has for the past 3 years since he's died. It has been there every single day, still to this day. And I hate that feeling of just knowing that he's gone. And you can bring this into any other situation where people that you know, people that you don't know, whether it's celebrities to political figures to your family, your friends, to people you know but you may not actually talk to every day or socialize with. It's sad to see that. It's sad to be in these situations, these predicaments, these situations are terrible to go through, and I think we are all meant to go through these situations for a reason that may not even affect us. People die for a reason, and I believe that because people have died for a lesson to teach us to be better than we were the day previously. They help push us to become better. And whether that's a reason that we know now, or a reason that we knew before, or a reason that we still don't know, those reasons push us to become better people within this world. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I would like to thank you for listening to this, and please feel free to share your thoughts, experiences, or general comments in the comments section. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking, subscribing, share this with friends, family, or no one. I don't mind. I'm doing this purely for fun and an educational purpose. People should think about things. People should question things. People should be able to have that freedom of, why does this happen? Why do things happen to us that are bad or good? We may not all know, but I hope everyone has a great day. I hope everyone has a great night, morning, evening, day, wherever you are in the world. I love you all. Bye.